You know, I've been asked thousands of times over the years, Charlie, what's the secret to building wealth? And people always expect some complicated formula, some secret stock pick, some insider knowledge. But the real answer? It's brutally simple and brutally hard at the same time. The first $100,000 is a bitch. Pardon my French, but there's no other way to put it. That's what I told a young man once, and it's as true today as it was then. Getting from $0 to $100,000 is harder than getting from $100,000 to $1 million. And getting to that first million is harder than getting from 1 million to 10 million. Why? Mathematics and human psychology conspire against you in the beginning. But once you understand the game, really understand it, you can beat it. I spent over 60 years studying why smart people do stupid things with money. And I've made plenty of mistakes myself, enough to qualify as an expert on stupidity, if nothing else. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly why that first $100,000 changes everything, and more importantly, how to actually get there. Not theory, not platitudes. The actual, unglamorous, tested over decades method that works. This won't be comfortable. I'm going to tell you things you don't want to hear. But if you're serious about building wealth, real permanent wealth, then shut out the distractions and pay attention for the next 35 minutes. Because what I'm about to share took me decades to figure out, cost me hundreds of mistakes, and is worth more than any stock tip you'll ever hear. Let's begin. Part 1. The mathematical magic of $100,000, why 100K, is the inflection point. Now, most people think building wealth is linear. You save $10,000, then $20,000, then $30,000, and so on. Nice, steady progress. Wrong. Wealth building is exponential, not linear, and $100,000 is roughly where the exponential curve starts to kick in hard enough for you to actually feel it. Let me show you the mathematics. And don't worry, I'll keep this simple. I was never much of a mathematician anyway. I just learned enough to not be stupid. If you have $100,000 invested at a 10% annual return, which is roughly the historical stock market average, you make $10,000 in year one without lifting a finger. That's $833 per month. Now, let's say you're still in the accumulation phase, saving $500 a month. At $0 net worth, your entire wealth building depends on that $500 you scrape together. It takes you 200 months, over 16 years, to get to $100,000 with no returns. But at $100,000, your money is working harder than you are. Your investments are generating $833 a month, while you contribute $500. Your money is now doing 62% of the work. At $200,000, your investments generate $1,606 monthly. Now your capital is doing 77% of the work. At $500,000, your investments generate $4,100 monthly. Your capital is doing 89% of the work. See the pattern? In the beginning, you work for money. After $100,000, money starts working for you. After $500,000, money works much harder than you do. This is why I always said, getting to $100,000 is a bitch, but you gotta do it. There's no shortcut, no magic, just the brutal arithmetic of compounding. But it's not just mathematics. The psychology changes too. When you have $5,000 in the bank, you're terrified. Every car repair, every medical bill, every unexpected expense is an emergency. You're living in survival mode. When you have $50,000, you're less terrified, but still anxious. You have a cushion, but not a real cushion. You're still one major disaster away from starting over. When you have $100,000, something shifts in your brain. You cross a threshold. You're no longer in survival mode. You start thinking like an investor, not a survivor. You can wait for opportunities instead of jumping at every shiny object. You can say no to bad investments. You can tolerate short-term volatility because you're not desperate. You have what I call psychological capital, the mental freedom to make good decisions instead of desperate ones, and desperate people make terrible decisions. I've seen it thousands of times. Hell, I've done it myself. Part 2, how I did it and what I learned, my path to the first 100K. Now let me tell you how I actually did this. Not because I'm special, I'm not, but because the principles are universal. I graduated from Harvard Law School in 1948. I was 24 years old, had a young family, and was essentially broke. Law school didn't make you rich. It just gave you credentials. I joined a law firm, worked hard, made a decent salary for the time, but nothing spectacular. I was a lawyer, not a businessman yet, but I did 3 things that most people won't do. First, I saved like a maniac. Not 10%, not 20%. I saved an enormous percentage of my income. In some years, I saved more than 50% of what I made. People thought I was crazy. "Charlie, you need to enjoy life," they'd say. But I understood something they didn't. Every dollar I saved was a soldier in my army, and I was building an army. I lived well below my means, not miserably. I had a good life. But I didn't confuse consumption with happiness. This is where most people fail. They get a raise and immediately inflate their lifestyle. The hedonic treadmill catches them, and they never escape. Second, I earned more. I wasn't content with a lawyer's salary. I took on side ventures. I worked on weekends. I found ways to increase my income. But, and this is crucial, I didn't increase my spending when I increased my earning. I kept the gap wide. There's a simple formula for wealth. Wealth, no cash, income, expenses, X investment returns, X time. Most people focus only on income or only on returns. The smart ones focus on the gap and the returns and the time. That's 3 variables you can control. Third, I invested intelligently. I didn't gamble. I didn't chase hot stocks. I didn't try to get rich quick. I bought good businesses at reasonable prices and held them. Real estate, small businesses, stocks of companies I understood, nothing fancy, nothing exotic, just good assets that would compound over time. It took me roughly 13 years to get to my first $100,000 in liquid investable assets, from 1948 to 1961, around age 37. 13 years. That's a long time. Most people give up way before that. But here's what happened after. In the next 7 years, I went from $100,000 to over $1 million 7 years to 10x my wealth after 13 years to get the first 100K. That's the mathematical magic I was talking about. The second $100,000 took maybe 3 years. The third took less than 2 years. Not because I got smarter, not because I worked harder, but because the compounding machine was now running at full speed. Part 3. The 5 Munger Principles for your first 100K. Now, let me give you the actual framework. The 5 principles that work regardless of your starting point, your age, or your income level. Principle number 1. Maximize the gap. I'm going to be blunt. You cannot invest your way to $100,000. You must save your way there. Investment returns matter, but they matter most when you have capital. When you're starting with $5,000 or $10,000, even a 50% return is just $12,500 or $5,000. It's nice, but it's not life-changing. What matters most in the beginning is the gap between what you earn and what you spend. Let me show you the math. Scenario A. You earn $60,000 per year and save 10%, or $6,000 a year. At 10% returns, you hit $100K in about 11 years. Scenario B. You earn $60,000 per year and save 30%, so it's $18,000 a year. At 10% returns, you hit $100K in about 4.5 years. Scenario C. You earn $80,000 per year and save 40%, or $32,000 a year. At 10% returns, you hit $100K in about 2.7 years. See the difference? Savings rate is your superpower in the early years. It's the one variable you have the most control over. Now, how do you maximize the gap? On the earning side, develop valuable skills that the market rewards. Switch jobs every 2 to 3 years early in your career. Loyalty doesn't pay anymore? Start a side business or freelance work. Ask for raises aggressively. Move to higher-paying markets if necessary. I'm not saying neglect your income. I'm saying don't only focus on income. On the spending side, live like you're still in college for as long as possible. Avoid the big three wealth killers: expensive cars, oversized houses, and lifestyle inflation. Buy quality items that last instead of cheap stuff. Repeatedly marry someone with similar financial values, or stay single. Divorce is the #1 wealth destroyer. Have a smaller family or delay having kids. Controversial, but mathematically true. The goal is to create a savings rate of 30-50% in your 20s and 30s, not forever, just during the wealth accumulation phase. This is where people get emotional. Charlie, that's impossible. I have expenses. I have a life. And my response is, do you want to be comfortable now or wealthy later? Because you can't have both in the beginning. That's the harsh truth nobody wants to hear. Principle number 2, avoid stupidity. Warren has a saying, rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget. Rule number 1. People think he's joking. He's not. In the early accumulation phase, avoiding losses is more important than chasing gains. Let me show you why. If you have $50,000 and lose 50%, you're down to $25,000. To get back to $50,000, you need a 100% gain. Losses are asymmetric. A 50% loss requires a 100% gain to recover. So how do you avoid stupidity? Avoid these wealth destroyers: high interest debt, credit cards, payday loans, anything above 8% interest. This is financial suicide. If you have this debt, pay it off before investing anything. Yes, even if the stock market might return 10%. Guaranteed 18% by paying off debt beats speculative 10% returns. Speculative gambling, crypto, penny stocks, options trading, day trading. This isn't investing. It's gambling, and the house always wins. I've seen countless people blow their entire net worth chasing 100x returns. Don't be that person. Lifestyle inflation. You get a $10,000 raise. You buy a nicer car, upgrade your apartment, eat out more. Your savings stay flat. This is the silent killer of wealth building: bad partnerships, business partnerships, marriages, co-signings. Choose your partners carefully. One bad partner can wipe out decades of progress. Taxes you don't need to pay. Use 401ks, IRAs, HSAs. These are free money from the government through tax deferral or deduction. If your employer offers a match, take it. It's an instant 50-100% return. Fees. Index funds, not actively managed funds. Every 1% in fees costs you approximately 2.5% of your wealth over 30 years. Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab. Low-cost index funds. This alone will make you wealthier than 80% of investors. The greatest fortunes are built by avoiding stupidity more than by brilliant insights. Principle 3. Invest in index funds. Now here's where I might surprise you. Warren and I made our fortunes picking individual stocks and buying entire businesses. But do I recommend that for most people trying to get to their first $100,000? Absolutely not. Why? Because you don't have time. Stock picking done right is a full-time job. If you're working full-time and trying to save aggressively, you don't have time to properly analyze companies. You don't have the temperament. Most people panic at the first 20% drop. They sell at the bottom and buy at the top. It's human nature. You don't need to. The S&P 500 has returned about 10% annually over the long term. That's enough. That will make you wealthy if you give it time. So here's my recommendation for getting to 100K, the simple portfolio. 80–90% in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, like VOO or FXAIX. 10–20% in an international index fund, like VXUS or IXUS. That's it. Rebalance once per year. Don't check it daily. Don't panic during crashes. Just keep contributing every month like clockwork. Automate everything. Set up automatic. Transfers from checking to investment accounts. Dollar cost average every paycheck. Reinvest all dividends. Treat your investment contributions like a bill you must pay. But Charlie, what about real estate? What about crypto? What about starting a business? Real estate. Good for building wealth after you have capital. Bad when you're starting because it ties up all your money in one illiquid asset. Wait until you have 100K plus. Crypto, maybe 1–5%. If you must scratch that itch, treat it as gambling money. Don't fool yourself into thinking it's investing. Business. If you have a real business idea with real revenue potential, yes. But most side businesses in the early years are just distractions from your main income source. Keep it simple. Boring is beautiful in the accumulation phase. Principle For. Optimize your time horizon. The single biggest advantage you have is time. And the single biggest mistake people make is thinking they don't have enough time. Let me show you the power of starting early. Person A starts investing $500 a month at age 25, stops at 35, invests for 10 years, total contributed $60,000. Person B starts investing $500 a month at age 35, continues until 65, invests for 30 years, total contributed $180,000. At age 65, assuming 10% returns. Person A has $1,000 out of $73,000. Person B has $1,000 out of $28,000. Person A contributed $120,000 less, but ended with more because they started earlier. That's the power of time. But here's the problem. Most people waste their 20s and 30s. They think they'll get serious about money later. They think they have time. Then they wake up at 40 with $15,000 in savings and panic. If you're in your 20s, you have a 20-year window to get to 100K comfortably. Use it. Your future 40-year-old self will worship you. If you're in your 30s, you have a 10-year window to get there aggressively. It requires more sacrifice, but it's doable. If you're in your 40s, you need to get there in 5 years or less. This requires extreme measures, massive savings rates, side hustles, potentially career changes. It's hard, but not impossible. The point is, start now, today, not next month, not after you figure things out. Now, every month you delay costs you compounding time you can never get back. Principle number 5, develop a learning machine. Here's something most people miss about wealth building. Knowledge compounds faster than money. Warren and I spent our entire lives learning, reading, studying businesses, psychology, history, mathematics, physics, biology. Why? Because the more mental models you have, the better decisions you make. And better decisions lead to better outcomes. You want to get to $100,000 faster? Invest in yourself first. Read voraciously. Read annual reports. Read business biographies. Read about psychology and human behavior. Read history. It rhymes. I spent my entire career reading 500+ pages per week. Warren reads even more. But Charlie, I don't have time to read 500 pages. Then start with 10 pages a day. That's 3,750 pages per year. That's 7 to 10 books. That's more than 99% of people read. Develop valuable skills. Learn to sell, the most valuable skill in capitalism. Learn to code or understand technology. Learn finance and accounting basics. Learn to write clearly. Learn to speak persuasively. Each skill increases your earning power by 10–30%. Study wealth directly. Study how wealth is actually built, not get-rich-quick schemes. Study successful investors. Study business models that work. Study tax strategies, the learning ROI. If you spend $5,000 and 200 hours in your 20s learning high-value skills, and that increases your lifetime earnings by just $50,000, very conservative, that's a 10x return. Compare that to trying to 10x your money in the stock market. Which is more realistic? Learn to think long-term in a short-term world. This alone will put you in the top 5% of investors. Part 4. The practical path. Let me make this concrete with 3 real scenarios based on different income levels. Scenario 1. Starting income, $40,000, $60,000 a year, target. Get to $100K in 5-7 years. Strategy. Save 30-40% of gross income, $12,000, $24,000 a year. Live with roommates or parents if possible. Save $12,000 plus a year. Drive a used, reliable car. Save $6,000 plus a year. Cook most meals at home. Save $3,000 plus a year. Focus on earning increases, side hustles, job switches, skill development. Target 20 or 30% income. Increases every 2 to 3 years. Invest everything in low-cost index funds. Delay major life expenses, weddings, houses, kids, until you hit $100K. Here, one more, 2. Save $15,000 a year. Tabra $30,000 a year. 3 out 4. Earning $60,000. Save $20,000 a year plus returns. $75,000 total. Year 5 to 6. Earning $75,000. Save $25,000 a year returns. $105,000 total. This is the uncomfortable path. It requires sacrifice, but it works. Scenario 2. Starting income, $70,000, $100,000 a year target. Get to $100K in 3-4 years. Save 40 or 50% of gross income, $35,000, $50,000 a year. Still live below your means. No lifestyle inflation. Max out 401K, $23,000 a year. Plus IRA, $7,000 a year. $30,000 a year. Tax-advantaged invest remaining in taxable brokerage. Focus on career advancement, promotions, strategic moves. Consider real estate investing after hitting $100K. Year 1, save $40,000. $40,000. Year 2, save $45,000 plus 10% returns, $189,000. Year 3, save $45,000 plus 10% returns are $143,000. You're done. Now the compounding machine is running. Scenario 3, starting income, $150,000 plus year target. Get to $100K in 1-2 years. Save 50 to 70% of gross income, $75,000 to $100,000 plus a year. Max all tax advantage accounts. Invest aggressively in index funds. Consider backdoor Roth IRA conversions. Don't inflate lifestyle just because you can afford it. Year 1, save $80,000. $80,000. Year 2, save $80,000 plus 10% returns, $168,000. Now focus on getting to $500K, then plans. Part 5. What changes after 100K? So you've done it. You've hit $100,000. Now what? First, the mathematics change. You're $100K generating 10% annually, or $10,000 a year passive income. If you keep saving $20,000 a year, you're now accumulating $30,000 a year. At this rate, $200K in 2.5 years, $300K in 4 years, $500K in 6.5 years, $1 in 11 years, the machine is running. The compounding is visible. You can feel it now. Second, your psychology changes. You can take calculated risks because you have a cushion. You can wait for good opportunities instead of chasing desperate ones. You can say no to bad investments. You can weather market downturns without panic. You think like an investor, not a consumer. Third, new opportunities open. Real estate investing becomes realistic. Angel investing or private deals become accessible. You can start a business with your own capital. You can take career risks. Start that company. Take that lower paying but higher upside job. But here's the warning. The biggest danger after hitting 100K is celebration inflation. You've worked so hard, sacrificed so much. You want to reward yourself. A nicer car, a bigger apartment, that vacation to Europe. Don't? Not yet. Keep the same discipline from 100K to 500K, because 500K is where you reach true financial flexibility. 500K, generating 10%, is $50,000 a year. That's meaningful passive income. So celebrate hitting 100K, have a nice dinner, take a weekend trip. But don't fundamentally change your lifestyle until you hit 500K one-nailers. The final principle, play the long game. I'm 99 years old as I say this. I've seen everything. Booms, busts, manias, crashes. The people who built lasting wealth, real generational wealth, all did the same thing. They played the long game. They saved aggressively in the early years. They avoided stupidity. They invested in productive assets. They gave it time. They stayed rational when others panicked. They learned continuously. There's no secret, no magic formula, no shortcut. Just discipline, patience, and the courage to delay gratification. So there you have it. That's how you get to your first $100,000. It's not complicated, but it's hard. Most people won't do it. They'll find excuses. They'll give up. They'll chase get-rich-quick schemes. But you're still here, which means you might be different. Let me leave you with this. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. Every day you delay, you're stealing from your future self. Every dollar you save today is worth $10, $20 in 30 years. Every good decision compounds. You don't need to be brilliant. You just need to be rational and patient. I wasn't the smartest guy in my law school class. I wasn't the hardest worker. I wasn't the most talented investor. But I was consistent. I avoided stupidity. I gave it time. And that was enough. It'll be enough for you too. Now stop watching YouTube videos about money and go execute. The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you got to do it. I guarantee it. Go do it.